Welcome back to the War Table. You are watching World in Flames, an alternate history campaign. This series is a turn-by-turn playthrough of the grand strategy board game World in Flames 5th edition, combined with Days of Decision 3, which models the political and diplomatic struggle leading up to the World War, the Second World War. This is old school from before Hearts of Iron 4 and Paradox Games. Back in the 80s and 90s, we had this stuff. Of course, we played it on actual physical tables with tokens. It's still available in that form. If you want to explore that, you need a lot of table space and time. Each episode of this stream will advance the game in real time, decision by decision, shaped by political pressures, uncertainty, and chance, because the dice will decide. I play all sides solo, but major and strategic choices can be advised, either by yourselves or, we'll see. Role-playing the leadership mindset here, trying to take the actions without the benefit of hindsight. This is not how history as it was, it's history as it might have been. So let us return to the world as we left it last time. So last time, Italy conquered Italian East Africa. This is something that pretty much automatically happens in this edition of the board game. If you play Collector's or Final Edition, you actually have to fight the war out, because there's a map for Africa. Other than that, politically, pretty much nothing happened, because everybody's holding their breath. It's 1936, January, February, was it? And everybody needed bid points, mechanically speaking. That's where we were at. Politically speaking, the world is holding its breath. Everything seems to be stable for the time being. And some building of various ships. For example, here we have a whole set of battleships. British, French, Italians. And what did we have here? Some infantry from the Soviets, and an aircraft carrier has been started by the Japanese. So the world is basically as peaceful as it will be for the foreseeable future. Yeah. We have a new turn. We have March and April 1936. And I have already used my own sort of RNG coordinator here. In essence, I am relying on ChatGPT a little bit to help me randomize the decisions for the various countries and take them in isolation from each other. We have this way decided who is bidding on what for this turn. And I'm going to find my way back here. Let's see. Germany is bidding 6 points with +4 as a modifier, so it gets a total of 10. Italy bids 5, +3 is 8. The Commonwealth bids 2 + 3 equals 5. France bids 2 + 2 equals 4. The USSR bids 1 + 2 equals 3. Japan bids 2 + 1 equals 3. And that means that their order will remain the same as before, because the USSR had initiative over Japan last time. They have the same political efficiency. The US bids nothing, 1 bid point actually, and gets 2, and China bids nothing, so it is not going to be in the running here at all. Germany starts. Germany gets to play the first option that will have an effect on the world, and it's going to play, let's zoom in here probably, Rhineland occupied. Germany no longer bound by Locarno Treaty, says the Führer. Belgium renounces the French alliance. This means that German units may now enter the Rhineland and may arrive there as reinforcements. Germany controls the Cologne factory and one additional resource from in the Rhineland, and remove any French alliance marker under Belgium on the status display. In other words, I had some comments on this. Where did that go? So this morning, German troops crossed the bridges of the Rhine. Well, that's going to be during the action phase. In a move that stunned chancelleries across Europe, German forces have entered the Rhineland, the territory demilitarized since the end of the Great War. Berlin insists the action is defensive in nature. The Chancellor declared that Germany, no longer bound by unjust restraints imposed by foreign powers, is merely restoring sovereignty over its own soil. France has issued a formal protest. No troops have moved yet. Certainly not in France. Belgium, citing its own security concerns, has announced that it will no longer rely upon French guarantees, declaring a posture of strict neutrality. Across Europe, diplomats ask the same question in hushed tones. If treaties may be disregarded without consequence, what remains to restrain the peace? That's a good question, perhaps. And we'll have some reactions. This is how we will sway the minor countries on this board. We will have, what was that, a -1 on Austria, I think it was? Let's see. A -1 on Austria. Austria is not so happy with this. The chancellor in Vienna is it a chancellor this time or is it a president? I don't know. Makes comments to the effect of an expressed concern, as it were. Belgium gets a +3 to Germany, which means that the Belgian government is ecstatic. Is this because of previous French incursions into the Rhineland? Applauding the Belgian government, applauding the complete reassertion of German sovereignty, and moving on then perhaps from the 1920s when there was still a great deal of a new era where we can put the Great War behind us, as it were. Is that what the Belgian government is hoping for? Czechoslovakia says a +1 as well. Prime Minister Beneš arguing, maybe not with the same enthusiasm as the Belgian government, that this is positive indeed for the normalization of relations across Europe. Denmark a -1, Hungary a -1, Netherlands a -1. So, Denmark, the Netherlands, and which was the other one? Hungary. Why is Hungary so grumpy? Militarization not favored by Denmark, of course. Poland +1, Romania +1. Poland currently being a German ally, actually. Also a French ally. And we have our first US entry, which is going to be a 4 to Germany. And I have an Excel spreadsheet to help me with this, if I can find it. Because in this game, we don't play with hidden tokens that you can do in multiplayer games and such. Instead, it's the objective for the United States is to reach a US entry level of 81. And at that point, war can be declared on whoever is the offending party. We gain 4, which puts Germany to 4, Italy to 2, and Japan to 2. So 4. Italy has an effective 2. Japan has an effective 2. This will all vary depending on what the allies are doing. We have these counters down here, and what the Soviets are doing, of course. And there is a formula for... So the more the allies are being active and interventionist during these years before the war, the slower the United States will enter the war. So we had Germany bid 6 bid points for this. They had 15. They now down to 9. Because they got to do their thing. And we have not activated a minor power yet. So let's do that. Belgium loses its alliance with France. It is now without an ally. And it has a +3 to Germany. So Germany is over here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 steps. Which means that if I move it there, it's going to be 8 steps, right? Which is exactly what we're going to do. Because it puts it out of... Belgium moves out of the democratic sphere and ends up in the neutral area. Going from here to here would normally cost 2 points, but because I'm going over a border here, it actually costs 3. So that is all 3 minor power influence points spent to move Belgium towards the neutral zone. All right, and now we're going to roll a die here to see if Italy gets to do anything. If I roll, what is it? For each previous option played, if I roll a 1 or a 2, the turn ends. I roll the 3, the turn does not end. Italy gets to do something. Italy is going to do nothing in particular. Option 0, but it's actually option 0E. That means secretly place a coup cell, which costs $5 for... Oh, did I pay the money for... No, I didn't. I didn't pay the money for Germany. I think it was 2 or 3. I'll have to check that again. 5 money for Italy, so it ends up at a -1 already. And a coup cell is placed. Nobody knows where. We will know that it's placed in Madrid. But the rest of the world doesn't know. There is some reporting here and there in the news of suspicions of strange tidings going to and fro. Unnamed sources within the Spanish government hints at Italian involvement in Spain's internal affairs. Rome, of course, denies involvement. Italian officials rejected allegations of interference in Spanish internal affairs. Yet across the Iberian Peninsula, whispers grow louder of foreign money, foreign arms, and foreign advisors moving quietly through ports and mountain passes. Spain remains officially at peace, but the tensions between the left and right sharpen by the day. Political rallies have already turned violent. Newspapers speak openly of the risk of civil war. Whether Italy seeks stability, influence, or something more ambitious, one thing is certain. The Mediterranean is no longer merely watching events unfold. It is shaping them. We'll see. For now, no war in Spain. And I'm going to $3 there. Yeah, I think I removed 3 from Germany, right? No, one more there. Italy gets to activate a minor country. Let's see. Which one should Italy activate? Austria, Czechoslovakia. Czechoslovakia pointless. It costs 2 points per step to go across this board. It would cost 1 point inside an ideology, but moving away from its ally costs an extra, so that's not going to happen. But into Poland +1 again. It's allied with both Germany and France, so it's not going to go anywhere. Romania is also in the neutral zone. It's not going to go anywhere. Hungary is not, and Hungary and Austria are not in the neutral zone. They are, in fact, look at here. Italy is in fact allied with Austria, and Italy is also allied with Hungary. And a -1 to Germany. I guess that would move Hungary over here. No real big deal. No real big difference. So, there we go. We activated Hungary. Okay, let's see if the Commonwealth gets to play anything. It does. Okay, so Italy had bid... How much did Italy bid again? Italy bid... Lots of points. I remember that. 5. It paid 5 money and bid 5 points. So it's down to 4. Commonwealth bid 2 points and gets to do something. That's pretty good budgeting. And its choice is going to be holds an election. That is, I believe, IPO 10, right? You're playing it on yourself. So that's going to cost $1 out of the cash box. The Commonwealth holds an election. And the British people have spoken. For Carl, voters across the United Kingdom have returned a government committed to stability, diplomacy and peace. In Westminster, leaders have reaffirmed Britain's dedication to international cooperation and gradual disarmament. There will be no rush to confrontation, ministers insist. The horrors of the last war remain too vivid. Yet, even as ballots are counted, observers note an uncomfortable truth. Peace is easier to preserve when others agree to keep it. So we will have then, I'm going to mark on our chart here with some British flags that the election was held, Commonwealth flag here, in March and April. The Commonwealth will next need to hold an election, no, not that one, in 4 years from now, I believe it, isn't it? Commonwealth holds an election every 3 year while Democrat. Okay, I thought it was 4. That will be 1, 2, 3. So 1939 is the next time the Commonwealth will hold an election. The Commonwealth does get to activate a minor country. It doesn't really want to activate anything in particular because nothing much is going to move. This will be much more stacked with influence factors as we move forward in the game. Could move Austria somewhere, I guess, for no particular reason, away from Germany, but it would only go to be on top of Japan, basically. And also Austria is going to be Anschluss sometime anyway. Czechoslovakia +1, what would that do? Absolutely nothing. The Commonwealth is over here. And Slovakia is here, so it just costs 3 points to move it. No point at all in using that. On the other hand, we could activate it just to get rid of the +1, so that Germany cannot amass influence. Though maybe it's actually wiser to do that with Romania. We'll activate Romania. Romania is not going to go anywhere. It is allied with France, and it would cost 3 points to move it. But let's not have the Germans accumulate influence there. So that is the Commonwealth turn. Let's see if now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and the turn ends. It does not end, which means that France gets to act. France bid, how much was it again? I have my notes. 2 points as well. 2 bid points down, and France will also hold an election. It doesn't play the IPO 10, it plays, what was it called here? 0C, every year while Democrat. So we're going to do exactly the same here. We're going to take a French flag and put it on our production spiral here to remember. Of course, it's going to be 1937 next time France needs to hold an election, but it will be in March and April, so they can use January and February for something else. Who is, and it doesn't cost anything to play this option either for the French. Let's see, who might they activate? Again, not much happening in the world in terms of reactions to world politics. Poland can't move anywhere. Romania, we've already activated that one. Czechoslovakia is not going to move much of anywhere. Austria won't move far either. Okay, we'll activate Czechoslovakia just on general principle, so it doesn't build influence there. Czechoslovakia will still remain exactly where it was. So the French have held elections. It's usually hard for them to hold elections. Okay. We will roll now, and if it's a 1 to 5, I think it will end, right? But I rolled a 6. This is the political turn that will go on. Which means that the USSR gets to play an option. The USSR bid 1 point. It's a weird noise. Oh, thank you. From Commando, who just followed. Thanks for the follow, Commando. I was going to say, the USSR is playing option 0G, getting more bid points. That is going to be 3 times the bid points, 3 times its political effectiveness, which is 6. So it had bid 2, and it gets 6. 2 like that, gets 6. It's now up to 10 bid points in total. So it has that much more ability to take actions when necessary, as it were. Alright. The USSR also gets the chance to activate a minor country. All of these various influence markers, only from Germany, as it turns out, will soon be gone because everybody's doing something. But what would the USSR even want to do with activations here? They're quite fine with Germany having -1 to the Netherlands and Denmark. I guess they'll just activate the Polish one, just to avoid giving Germany more influence over Poland, like so many others. Alright, so that was a 0G. It means that we have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, because this one doesn't count as an action. So it's still a 5, 1 to 5, to see if the political turn will end or not. And I rolled a 4, which means that it does end here. Japan and the USA do not get to play their options. Japan had bet 2 bid points. It gets those 2 back, so no difference there. The US had bid 1 bid point, and it has 2 political effectiveness, so it actually gets an extra bid point. So now it has 7. Look at that. That is the end of the political action phase of March and April 1936, which is not the end of the turn, mind you. Alright, we go into the military affairs. First of all, reinforcement segment. It is March and April 1937. There's nothing here in this sector of the production chart. There is also nothing here, which means that nobody's getting any reinforcements yet. Then we have initiative segment. I'm going to roll for the Allies and the Axis. That's not the roll. I'm going to click for the roll now. Boom. And let's see who gets initiative this turn. Not that it's going to matter a whole lot because, you know, there's no war yet. But the Axis do have a +1. They have a reroll. 7 versus 1. Yeah, they retain initiative. Now it is, in fact, March and April, and we will see what weather might befall us. Number 5 I rolled, and that is March and April. It's a -1, actually, because we rolled a 1 last time, and I rolled now, what was it, a 5? What did I roll? I rolled a 5. Yep, a 5. So it's a 5 -1, so it's a 4 net. So we have winter in the Arctic Circle, mud in the Arctic and temperate, clear in the Mediterranean, mud in subtropical, and clear in the monsoon areas. If there was war of any kind happening anywhere, this would impede various types of movements. As you can see from the box here, no movement from HQ units, other land units have double terrain cost, supply range reduced, monsoon, mud effects plus no invasions allowed, etc, etc, etc. There's a whole series of effects on the units on the board. The impulse marker will go 3 steps after each of the second side's impulses, and there is no land or air attacks allowed in China at all this turn. Of course, China and Japan are not at war yet, but when, it's a matter of when, not an if. When Japan declares a limited war on China, they would get this number, the number in the square number of attacks per turn. The Chinese would also get to attack if they wanted to, but they very rarely will because they're so outgunned. Axis first impulse. Nobody is at war, which means that we can only do combined impulses. Germany gets 2 naval moves, 6 land moves, 3 land attacks, 3 aircraft per bases, and 1 strategic move, which is a railroad move. Italy gets 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, and Japan gets 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, respectively. Before any major power is at war with another major power, each naval move counts as 1 unit. After war, major war with another major power, all at war with another, it counts as a stack per. What is Germany going to do with its combined action during this rather bleak weather? It's a bad spring. It's muddy in the temperate. But the German soldiers have to cross the Rhineland, right? To just mark the fact that they are there. Germany now gets access to another factory and 1 more resource, which gives them 1 more production per turn, because the production multiple is a 1. So we will here... I'm going to actually remove this, because it looks a bit confusing to have the marker on German soil. Order has been restored. It's going to move 1. That's 2 points because of the mud. And then why not 1... Yeah, 4 points like that to Köln, Manstein as well. And we can move the tanks down to Aachen for no particular reason. And that's really it as far as Germany is concerned. In Italy's case, we want to move the transport. 1, 2. Suez is open. It's neutral now. 3, 4. And pick up Badoglio from Italian East Africa. Once that is done, we'll have the entire evacuation completed from Italian East Africa. Let's see now. We have 2 light surface groups. We have 1 submarine. And there's 2 destroyer groups. An infantry. A tactical bomber. 1 more infantry. And another infantry. I think we're gonna send these guys down to Taranto, not Toronto. Toronto is in Canada. Taranto is in Italy. By rail. And that's basically going to be it. As for Japan, it's also pretty miserable weather here, isn't it? We have 1 transport right here. 1, you know what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Picking up that infantry unit. We're going to move 1 up into the mountains. That gets flipped because it is... No, it's only 3 points in movement for mountains in the Pacific. But what weather did we have? This is the temperate zone, so it's in fact muddy. So yeah, flipped. We have... I mean, there's a lot of Manchurians, isn't it? It's also temperate here, apparently, so that means that it is muddy, so they get flipped. So I'm just gonna railroad them up to Harbin, and then we can... So that was 1 ground move, and that was 1 strategic movement, and this will be another ground move, so that is pretty much all she wrote. It's not a 4, no, it's a 3-pointer, yeah. That is basically what Japan can do for the moment. So, we will move the impulse marker forwards, the Allied first impulse, and I have no idea that the Allies even want to do anything specific. Depends entirely on whether the Soviets want to go west or east. But the Soviets have some other plans up their sleeves, so the whole moving troops part is not a factor just yet. It will be one day, but not this day. In short, I think the Allies would simply pass. There's the whole lot others else otherwise for them to do. Except maybe we do have a 7-3 in Syria. How about we do this? 1, 2, 3, 4, and embark the 7-3. Because a 7-3 should be on the mainland, right? Also, possibly we could rail these guys in Casablanca to Tunis. Flip. And that is it for them. Not much else to do for the British. They don't have transports at the moment enough to be able to shore up defenses in the Mediterranean, but it will come over time. Alright, so China doesn't have... We do have the communists here. The Chinese communists that can actually move up into the mountain hex here in mud and everything. They're now 4 hexes away from Lanzhou, and that's as far away as they can. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's as far as they go. But one fine day, they will be an anchor in Chinese defense against Japanese aggression. Maybe. Perhaps. We'll see. And with that, we move... What did we say? 3 steps, was it? I think it was 3 steps. Yep, 3 steps. 1, 2, 3. Axis, second impulse. It cannot end after this impulse because of the weather. Can't do anything much anywhere over here. Yeah, no, it's basically a big pass for everyone right now. When everybody passes, it's a -1 on ending the impulse. So let's see if the impulse ends. It did not. I don't know why that die rolled. Allied second impulse. Again, nobody has... See, this is an intense turn, isn't it? Nobody has anything in particular to do, so let's roll. It does, again, not end. 1, 2, 3. The only reason why I'm playing through this right now is because it's going to matter. Whoever has the most impulses will switch the position on the initiative track. If the second side gets... If the first side gets more impulses than the second side, then the initiative track will react to that. I can roll a 1 to 3 to end the impulse and the action phase. And we did! The action phase is officially over. This is it for March and April 1936. Yep, it's slow in the beginning, folks. I promise you, stick with us here and it will pick up speed in time. The action phase is over, and we have... Partisan phase. Will there be any partisans anywhere? Roll a d6. I rolled a 2. The partisans will happen in Norway, Spain, Bulgaria, Iraq, Yugoslavia, Australia, Canada, and Netherlands East Indies. Dutch East Indies. Which none of them are occupied by anyone right now, so no partisans for the moment. Japan is really the only one who can get affected by that, so they are quite pleased that they're not. Coup phase, US interface, nothing will happen with that. This US interface happens when a war has broken out between fascist, between democracy and another power, between a democracy major power and another power. Production phase, we go to that again. Let's have a look, shall we? 9 money for the United States of America. Good old Uncle Sam. We have... What do we have here? Anything that has to be built. This unit has to get in May, June 1938. This one has to get in September, October of 37, which means that it doesn't have to be built yet. And we currently have 9 money. We would end up at 12. So 1, 2, 3. And I am thinking that we should build a transport for the US. At least it keeps the gearing limit for ships up, right? There we go. And the US really needs transports over time. Though I'm also thinking that at some point maybe the US should build a strategic bomber just to Be a little nifty about that. Okay, the Commonwealth has no required builds immediately here, or does it? Let's see. 38, no. 41, no. Alright, then we know exactly what the UK will build, the Commonwealth. We have 6 production per turn, 16 bucks, and last turn we built 1 ship. We're going to build 2 ships this time, and both of them will be transports, because that is what the Commonwealth needs most of all. So, 1 and 2. And we have March and April, and it's going to end up, of course, here next to the American transports, because those convoys do not lay themselves, and that's what the Commonwealth is focused on right now. We have French production 4, French money 4, now French money 8. The French do not have a required build at the moment there, nor here. The French did build a ship last turn, I know that much. So I must have forgotten to record that properly. So we could repair one of these ships. Of course, that takes only 2 turns to do. So we might want to wait. Is there anything expensive France might want to build right now that takes a while to get in on the board? Naval air is maybe not the highest priority for France. Armor is also not the highest priority, nor is paratroopers. Fighters doesn't take a whole lot of time to get in on the board. Air transport is not a bad idea necessarily, because it helps on flipping disorganized units, reorganizing them again. Transports. The French transport capacity is not really... France is such a landlocked country. A tactical bomber is not a bad idea, because France will need basically all the fighters and tactical bombers it can get to prepare for the German invasion, and they're slightly more expensive than the infantry. On the other hand, we only have so much money right now, and we have a lot of infantry to build. 11. So, what did we build last turn? We built 1 ship. I knew that. Let's build an infantry to get the counter on that going. 3 money. Shuffle and draw. 1 for 2 infantry. That also means that we're not building a ship this turn with the French. Question is, do we want to take this opportunity to also build an aircraft of some kind? French infantry will come in there. And what kind of aircraft? If so, given the low production right now, I'm not so sure that I'm keen on. There might be things that we want to spend money on. Alright, Germany has 3 money. Actually has 8 money now, so 11. Germany needs to focus on land. And Germany has no required builds at the moment. Do we? Nope, no required builds. We started last time by building a German tank, because why not? We're not going to do that right now, though it could be funny. We're instead gonna build expensive things that take forever to get onto the map. For example, Fallschirmjäger. They have 2 paras to build, and we're gonna grab that one, which is the worst one. That happens. It costs $5 because it's expensive, so we'll have 6 left. Started on 11. It takes a while and a half to get these guys in, and we will also need to have... I'm actually going to need to have a transport, and there's some general stuff that I need to get in here for the Germans. But we're starting some long-term projects. The Italians, so that was 1 infantry built. There. The Italians get 4 money. Now has 3 because they've been spending a lot of money. I am not sure that I want to spend anything with Italy right now, honestly, unless I absolutely have to, which I don't. I don't have to build this turn. So Italy is going to build nothing this turn. Absolutely nothing. No ships, no nothing. Just saves the money. For future needs. The Soviets could now build 2 infantry if they wanted, which of course they do. They have 6 money. They have 4 production per turn. So now they have 10 money, except they build for 6 of those 2 infantry. So, because they don't have a whole lot of money. There we go. 2 infantry coming in. 2 infantry armies, in fact. There. So we're going to mark that on the gearing limits. They won't be able to sustain that level of production for long, but if there's anything they're known for, it's for building all the troops. Japanese, I don't think they have any mandatory builds either. Nope. We have a lot of repairs to do eventually here, but that seems like something we're gonna bother with later on. For now, Japan needs transports, and lots of them. Did we build a transport last turn? No, we did not. Okay, so it's definitely going to be a transport this turn then. Japanese factories, money, 5, resources, production 6. Okay, so 11 minus 4 for transport. I guess I could build an infantry as well. Nothing wrong with that. Just for the sake of getting that started. Transport coming in here. And we're going to be fancy. We're not going to build a regular infantry. We're going to build Marines. Japanese Marines. They cost 5. So that's like a huge part of the defense budget coming out here. And it's a 4-3, which is the weaker one. There we have it. Oh, they took a little bit longer to build. No, that's the Paris. Okay, fair enough. So Japan has built a ship and an infantry. It's almost they're planning some invasions or something. Who knows? Maybe they're not. China earns 1 money per turn. Still cannot build anything yet. And that is how that goes for them. Next turn they'll be able to build an infantry. It's not easy being China in this game. It is not. It's basically just holding the line for as long as possible until others can get in and do some stuff. Alright, so we have production phase, return to base phase. We have some ships returning to base. We have the French transport with the 7-3 returning to Marseille. We have the Italian transport here with Badoglio returning to base in Taranto. We have a Japanese transport with a 5-3 returning to base in Port Arthur. And that would be it. Return to base phase clear. Conquest, Allied, minor, victory, or final reorganization phase. Alright, we will now unflip all the units who were flipped. And that's it. That is literally it. Yep. What do we have going on here with China? I don't know. Why do we have that? Okay. We'll have to correct that. I just noticed that for some reason, yeah. China's gonna make a slight adjustment of the lines before all hell break loose. On the other hand, it might just be a reinforcement we pop into Beijing later. We are done, my friends, with March and April 1936. I can't believe it takes this long to play these very nothing much happens in the frontline turns. We'll see how long every episode will get after that. So for this time, peace still reigns in the world. And this turn it really is peace because the war in Italian East Africa has ended. But Germany has moved into the Rhineland. And what will that mean for the future of world peace? Is it simply a move to rectify German sovereignty? Or is it a sign of something more sinister to come? Who knows? Whatever it might be. Oh, I forgot to flip the China Mountains 2 infantry. Thank you. This is correct. Thank you, Commando. They have to be unflipped. There we go. Mao is ready to go with the boys for May and June. Thank you for that. So, we are going to pause here. And next week we'll be back and we will see what might happen with May-June of 1936. Again, it's 1936. Don't expect too much drama until maybe the Spanish Civil War breaks out. And then things just escalate from there. That's usually the case. So far, nobody's suspecting anything, except the Allies, of course, know now that Italy has placed a coup cell somewhere and might want to act to countermand that. Who knows? We'll find out, won't we? Thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for the follow, and see you next time.